Intervention Introduction by Francisco J. Palacio D. as part of the Advanced Instructional Design and Technology class IDT609 at the University of Arizona Global Campus. The discussion prompt asks to present the problem you have identified, to explain why the program needs to be addressed or problem, explain who the target audience is, states the course learning outcomes or CLOs, and finally explain how the training will be delivered. Present the problem you have identified. We're referencing the previous course conclusions as the course learning outcomes have been drafted and refined through both IDFEA and IDPP processes. The project scope is by now circumscribed to branding, producing, and disseminating chosen projects and speeches that members of the Toastmaster International community may want to enhance through these tactics their online portfolios and personas. These tactics are meant to encourage and enable the simple creation of video and audio materials using standard video conferences platforms such as Zoom and Google Meet, and explain the steps needed to upload and curate said recordings into YouTube correctly. Through this curation, the expectation is set that the materials will not only conform to applicable branding specifications, but have an overall polished look when shared elsewhere in online venues such as LinkedIn and Facebook pages and groups to a limited extent. As posted, again, the topic is to enable new or established YouTubers, most recently born out of exposure to Zoom through an intervention titled C4 Collaborative Content Creation and Curation. To initially encompass fellow members who may want to complete a recording of an actual Pathways learning experience, trademark, project. Set techniques can also be applied to creating short testimonials and even longer projects. The goal is to share the intervention in time to generate enough enthusiasm for members. Explain why the problem needs to be addressed. After initial review of updated demographics from this week's international convention, which indicated organization, like many, facing some indications of attrition, it's also an organization that possesses a strong core group of alumni, many indicating that they're waiting to resume their membership once more favorable conditions shifts clubs back to traditional face-to-face meetings. So one could argue that the more of these video testimonials and shared projects are posted, it's also a way to leverage the one silver lining that others have seen from this period. Never before in the history of the organization have members reached literally across time zones and met with each other virtually. Perhaps why the attrition has not been greater. Then comes the terms hybridization. As such, it's a tectonic shift in terms of our workplaces. And no matter the source where one reads it from, it's a phenomenon that's here. It's now. So I'll be optimistic. Posing a viable solution through this intervention may help both confluence positively. Corporate club hosts perhaps seeing the value through a public channel such as YouTube. And yes, there is work internally for the author on his daily routine as work instructions to conduct complex processes on enterprise applications are now gathered on the go, ideally with minimal post-production services required and an understanding of the dissemination platforms available to many workers nowadays. At that, a recent article from Microsoft on this topic. They said that we're all learning as we go, but the fact is that flexible work is here to stay, and the talent landscape, as I said, has shifted. Remote work has created new job opportunities for some, offer more family time, and provided options for whether and when to commute, but there are also challenges ahead. Work teams have become more siloed this year, and digital exhaustion is a real and sustainable threat. With over 40% of the global workforce considering leaving their employer this year, a thoughtful approach to hybrid work will be critical for attracting and retaining diverse talent. To help organizations through the transition, The 2021 Work Trend Index online findings from a study of more than 30,000 people in 31 countries and an analysis of trillions of productivity and labor signals across Microsoft 365 and LinkedIn. It also includes perspectives from experts who have spent decades studying collaboration, social capital, and space design at work for decades. So with so much change impending people over the past year, employees are reevaluating priorities, home bases, and their entire life. So whether it's due to fewer networking or career advantage opportunities, a new calling, pent-up demand, or a host of pandemic-related struggles, more people are considering their next move. The way companies approach the next phase of work, embracing the positives and learning from the challenges of this last year, will impact who stays, who goes, and who ultimately seeks to join your company. This is from the Microsoft website, their work lab on hybrid work, a recent article from this year. With that in mind, explaining who the target audience is, it's interesting. November of last year at the IDT609 class, as we were designing, creating the documentation for the design in terms of content, impact, and target, the initial findings from the IDFEA established a pattern of interest from the audience, from simple tips to more structured instructional direction, as some respondents directly elaborated on the broader context of adding recording to the now routine online meetings as follows. And now I'm quoting from the people who took the survey. There. In my experience, newbie and intermediate presenters often forget the audience and is going to need to be briefed on where are we going with this. Presenters need to practice the art of remaining a few steps ahead of audiences, providing briefings up front for where they are to be taken, communicating in ways that allow for smooth and polished rather than sharp and awkward transition. Somebody else wrote, it is vital that I become proficient in making and curating instructional videos. I'm looking forward to the training. I believe I will enjoy it and may even make videos and do Zoom socially when I'm proficient. The processes of reviewing my recorded speeches have been extremely beneficial to my professional growth. Another says, it's an interesting situation. Many will ask and expect recordings, knowing the percentage of people who actually watch recording and benefit will be interesting. So these are comments from our initial target audience, online club members of Toastmasters International. As we all know, most clubs chose to leverage technology and meet online through 2020 and 21. But we expanded it now at this point, right before the presentation of the project, to aficionado videographers wanting to improve their content curation, as it also helps with what is being disseminated, and I'm going to include myself in that. And I call them broadly professionals after the same. Better or more engaging uploads, leverage those, I would say, the impetus from over a year where the commuting or work from home finally appears to have gone mainstream. And I shifted these two slides. I wanted the opinion of an employer as not only as large, but as significant, if you will, as Microsoft had on the topic. Yes, we could be burning out, and yes, we're working in silos, but the fact is that we're doing a lot of work in this fashion. So we're at 8 minutes. We're almost there. Thank you for watching. Course learning outcomes. Some of you have seen them on the discussions. Right now, I'm just going to read the top, the three subheadings, if you will: branding and nomenclature, creation and production, creation and dissemination. Essentially, three applications. I'm talking about Google Slides for the branding, creation on Zoom. Even though today, I must admit, I'm working here on a narrated PowerPoint format, which I've seen a lot recently, using just PowerPoint, create a video. And then curation and dissemination. Everything ends up in YouTube. And no, this is not about the YouTube channel per se. It's the platform, the video technology for the brand, record, and share, if we want to call it another way. So the training will be delivered blended, asynchronous via social network-driven learning, and that brings up the word crowdsourcing. There are so many established communities of practice that to hope and expect for somebody to jump on the intervention and use it, and not only that, expand on it. It's part of what makes it so interesting for me. So hopefully that crowdsourcing point in terms of delivery will happen. I'm closing with my theory of change diagram. I won't read it. I'll leave it for a few seconds here. I like the way it makes you think of assumptions, strategies, influential factors, split the problems or the issue to what the community has or needs, and then the desired results. We're at 10 minutes. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. This has been my intervention introduction as part of my final project, starting on polishing my final project for my master's in instructional design technology. Thank you. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, watch the kickoff speech and subscribe. Everything will be delivered via YouTube. So stay tuned. Thank you.